Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. For me, it is a Saturday night, September the 5th, 2015. A little bit earlier than I normally record, but that's good. That's very good. I have had a bit of a snafu, too, with the recording here. It's the footage you'll see if it doesn't match up with last episode, because I started recording and in fact recorded for over an hour and then realized that I wasn't actually recording to disk. I was recording to memory, which is what I do when I am when I'm live streaming. I have DxTory set up to actually stream directly from the game to memory, and then the OBS will pick it up from memory and stream it out to the interwebs. That way I don't have to constantly set up, different things in OBS where it's like, okay, now do this game, now do that game, now do this game. I can just do it in DxTory, and it's just one setting, and I don't have to worry about it. I can just jump between games and not have to keep changing it up. Problem is, in order to do that, I often turn off the saving to disk, and I just have it saved to memory, and I forgot to reset that back to disk. So I went and recorded an entire hour that went basically to dev null. And that is gone. That footage is gone. So I'm picking up on the second hour here of recording of where we left off there. I left off in an ocean biome. We've traveled quite some distance. I've gained quite a few levels. Unfortunately, as is the problem with a lot of procedurally generated games, this episode's going to have a lot of traveling across oceans, because I run into one ocean biome after another, whereas the last hour I actually had some really good encounters and stuff, and some actual, fun, exciting things going on, and well, you're never going to see that. Unfortunately. But we are here for my ramblings, not necessarily for the visuals going on the screen anyway. So we'll make do with what we've got here. Speaking of the visuals on the screen, I have been doing a lot of live streaming. Well, it's not really that much, but I have plans to do a lot more live streaming. That's why I've been sort of a little bit, what I call it, lax, I guess purposely lackadaisical with the schedule for videos going up on the channel. Mostly because I am, as I mentioned last week, I believe, I am trying to finish up some games, and then I want to switch to maybe a slightly different schedule so that I have more time to live stream, and also doing these side quest videos more often requires me to do some more research than what I was doing before. Even though I was doing quite a bit, I'm doing even more now, because I'm playing things off camera for a little bit and then testing them out and seeing if they're ready yet, those kinds of things. So to facilitate all that, I want to change up my schedule just a bit, probably adopt something a little bit closer to a normal YouTuber. In that realm, I haven't recorded any of The Witcher 3 yet, so it's probably going to be another week, maybe, before The Witcher 3 starts back up again. My apologies if you were enjoying and watching that. It's just, just a little break, that's all. It's just because like I said, I was finishing up some things. I still have to finish up Driver San Francisco. I thought I was close to the end, and then it just threw another chapter at me, so not quite there yet with that. But I want to finish that up. We have finished Dishonored, and I've been getting a hankering to go back and play it again, but do it like full on high chaos, just balls to the wall, just kill everything, do it whatever way I want to do it, make some fun out of it, toss some bodies in the air, that kind of thing. Because even though I feel like I played the game the correct way, I also feel like I played it the most boring way that I possibly could have, unfortunately. So I kind of want to go back and do it again, but do it just go crazy, just go ham bone on it. But I'm gonna wait. because obviously we're going to have Dishonored 2 eventually next year. So maybe on the lead up to Dishonored 2 next year, I'll jump back into Dishonored 1 again and run through just doing high chaos and just being a badass. Being the badass that I know Corvo can be. So that might be something I do later on, because I actually really enjoyed the game. I enjoyed it a lot. I've thought about even going back and playing Deus Ex Human Revolution again, but I've held off on that because we've got another Deus Ex game that's coming out. And, you know, they just announced some pre-order stuff on that, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. I might get to that at the end of this episode. We'll see. I kind of want to skirt it a little bit because there's some controversy there with the pre-order stuff, and I like the games a lot. I like Deus Ex a lot, so my thoughts on it are going to be, well, moot, really. It's going to be a moot point because I'm going to be buying the game regardless of what happens, honestly. But no, I haven't pre-ordered yet, though, so you don't have to hate me yet. I might wait till day one to buy. Who knows? We'll see. Anywho, I did just finish up, and I want to talk about this, even though I'm going to try not to spoil it, though, but I want to talk about it right now. I just finished up Dex about an hour or two ago, and it turns out there was like 2 hours left of the game when I thought I was getting near the end, like the last mission. The last mission took like 2 hours, over 2 hours to do. There was a lot of exposition at the end. The story gets really, really interesting at the end of the game there. And I mentioned this, I talk about this more in my sort of roundup during the credits, but it was an interesting little twist to an RPG, right? Like, normally RPGs you think about, you go in and you have a main quest that's constantly driving you along to the various areas, and the developers of this, they took that concept and they sort of flipped it a little bit. Instead of making the main quest be the thing that drives you to the various areas, they made the side quests drive you to the various areas, which could be a little bit weird for people who love RPGs, because I know, you know, I've mentioned people in the past that like to play through the main campaign and then come back later and do the side quests. This game literally is like, no, you're really supposed to do all the side quests as you're going. Actually, it's weird. You're supposed to do all the side quests before you do any of the main quests, which is, I didn't realize. I just started doing it without even realizing it. And then I got to the end, I'm like, oh man, I haven't done anything with the main quest yet. I should start doing this. And apparently, based on the last 2 hours of the game, I was actually playing it correctly the whole time. I thought I was doing it bad. I was like, oh man, I'm the worst YouTuber ever here. I'm not going the main quest at all. I'm doing all these side quests all the time. Turns out, no, I was actually playing the game correctly, and that comes through in the story. So I don't want to spoil any of the story, but it's the final couple episodes. I'm not even sure. Like, I want the last 2 hours that I recorded, I really want that to be one episode, but it's 2 hours, and there's a lot that I can cut out in it. That was a lot of me just failing over and over again, but there's a lot of story in there that I don't want to cut. And there's a couple places where I have to do some weird cuts too, because of just how I was failing and having to redo and all that stuff. So it's gonna be interesting. I really want it to be all one episode, because it's all like, it's very good. Like, the story you just got, if it was kind of, I mean, the story wasn't mediocre. It was, I was actually enjoying it. I was enjoying doing, like, seeing this world. There was a lot of world building in there. If anything else, it was a very, very slow burner, like incredibly slow, like, you know, Chariots of Fire slow, right? Let's fire up some Chariots of Fire music and just watch this thing chug along on the beach, right? That's extremely slow, and then even the ending is extremely slow, but once you get there, it's like the story is just it's good. I mean, it's not, you know, Shakespeare worthy or anything like that, and it uses tropes that we're pretty well aware of if you've played enough sci-fi games or know sci-fi like I do. But it does even with that, it's very the story is still compelling. I feel like I feel like there was more character building happening in the last 2 hours than there was in the rest of the game, which is kind of a shame because there was some interesting characters there. It's just they're all kind of tropey a little bit, which I can't really fault anybody for because I mean that is the thing, right? Your hero's got to be this, your zero's got to be that, your villains are this, your villains are that. You can add shades of gray in there, but all the shades of gray are kind of the same thing. But yeah, I love the way the game did things once I got past the problems of the early game. Like the early game is very punishing, and I made a huge mistake in playing it with a controller because it's extremely frustrating with a controller. There's also some frustrating mechanics in it with like you got to stand still in order to fire a gun. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's really dumb, right? So you end up just throwing all your points into melee and just meleeing guys, and then when you try to punch them, they keep running back and forth like idiots, and it just it drives you nuts. There are parts of the game that just absolutely drive you nuts, and that's the real shame of it, right? Is that there is a good idea there. There's some really good ideas there. There's some good storytelling there, although it does get a little bit towards the end there. It was confusing a little bit as to who was on what side, which I think is actually probably a good thing because it just shows you that there was a lot of gray areas there, but it was still kind of confusing. There were choices, but you couldn't quite figure out who was pushing for what choice, which was a bit odd. You know what I mean? I like gray areas as much as the next person, but it's just sometimes you need to spell it out to me occasionally. But anyway, that because the way it was presented, it felt like there should have been a third choice, but I was only presented with two choices at the end, and it looked like there was room for a third choice, but I apparently didn't unlock it along the way, and some of the dialogue doesn't really give you an idea of where you went wrong. Like if I think back to how I played the game, where did I go wrong with some of the dialogue? I can't really tell, right? It's not like one of those things where you look back on it and you go, oh, I can see the progression here. I can see that I made this choice, and this choice, and the game's like, okay, you've locked off now. You've basically committed to ideals that couldn't possibly unlock this third choice, right? But when I think back to it, I can't think of where I turned that corner, or if I just didn't dig in far enough on certain things. It's hard to tell. There's some goodness there, but it's just not. There's some rough edges along the way, and I think that's the one thing that holds that game back is that there's some rough edges there that just need to be smoothed out. And if they were smoothed out, I think the game would be just absolutely fantastic. I still think the game is fantastic. I can see why it may not do so well because it's really hard to get to that point where it's like, oh, okay. You know, it's very hard to get to that light bulb moment when things are actually going on. You know, it feels like in many cases like a slog, like you're just kind of doing things for the sake of doing them and not really. It's not until the end that it's revealed as to why you were seemingly doing just an endless string of fetch quests and things like that, and it doesn't really become obvious until the very end. But I'm not going to spoil anything. You'll just have to watch the episodes as they come out. It's going to be a couple episodes before the end anyway, because I've recorded. I think I have about like 5 hours of footage now ahead of where where you currently are with what I've released on YouTube. So there's a couple episodes left on that, so you're not out of the loop yet. But I do, I do recommend, even if you don't like, if you don't like the other episodes that I've done, at least watch the last one. If I can figure out how to cut the last one in such a way that it's not like 3 hours long. It might be 3 hours long. Who knows at this point, because there's just so much dialogue and story in there. But I would recommend at least listening to the finale of it, because I think it's pretty good. So that's it. So I finished Dex, so that frees that up now. Continuing on with Soul Zero, getting back into that game, I'm really, it's, as the old saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Very much the case with that. Having played it, continuously for over a year, I needed a little break from it, and that little break has helped, because now I'm back to it again. I'm like, oh, this is still fantastic. It's still fantastic. Just still very good. So that is continuing on. I've wanted to, I had another game that I started to do some research on and kind of stopped and put it on the back burner, and then I'd like to get back to it. I'd like to see if it's something that I can record, if it's in a recordable state yet. But I was involved with the early access. I have the early access, I think it's early access, of Off-World Trading Company, which is another one of those sort of real-time strategy games, but it's very similar in some ways to Soul Zero, where you're fighting, quote unquote, fighting the environment, and not like, building military units and all that stuff. But it's an economic simulator, not like a SimCity or like a Soul Zero. A Soul Zero is more of a building simulator. This is more of an economic simulator. You are striving to be the best run corporation on Mars. And it was pretty good. I was starting to sort of get the hang of it, but like I said, I put it aside, and it's probably changed dramatically since the last time I looked at it. So I would like to get back into that. I'd like to get into that at some point. We'll see when I can fit that in. I'm also, in case you haven't figured it out, I'm focusing more on live streaming too, because there's so many RPGs and long form games that I want to play, that have been on my back burner for a long time, and I feel like sitting down at a live stream for 3 hours at a time, or even an hour at a time, whenever I get the chance. I feel like that's more fulfilling than trying to record them and then edit them and get them into a point where they can be rendered and all that stuff. But for some things, there will be other things that will still be on the channel. I'm just trying not to overload the channel with a lot of RPGs, because I feel like I was getting a little bit too much there with some of them. So especially with The Witcher going on, I think The Witcher is going to be the RPG really that's running on the channel for the most part. There'll be others, but they will be sort of in secondary slots as I can. I just don't want to. I don't want to, because you think about it, I want to play through the entire Borderlands saga, which I'm going to do, and I'm doing it on live streams. That would be a whole lot of episodes on the YouTubes. And that would be competing with all the other things going on there with The Witcher and all that stuff. And then, Satellite Rain is another one. I think I went through the whole list of these that I have. Now Mad Max, which I played on the Friday live stream. Played the first 3 hours and 45 minutes or so of it. The VODs are out on the Memory League Doom channel. I will also have the highlight VODs out on Hitbox and Twitch soonish. I'll probably do that after I finish recording here, because that won't take me too long to do. Although for some reason, Hitbox seems to have this problem where with long live streams, it breaks up your stream into multiple chunks. Like it seems like it loses connection at some point, and then it breaks it into chunks. I don't know why that is. Like I have occasionally, there's things like I'll get like a 16-minute recording, and then like it auto records. I'll get like a 16-minute recording, and then I'll get the other 3 hours. I don't know why that is. I suspect it has something to do with a changeover in time. You know, when it goes over a certain time limit, but I don't know. It's been kind of random, so apologies if you're looking over there and you're seeing things that are in multiple chunks. It's just the way it was recorded by Hitbox. But Twitch seems to not have that same problem, so you can always go over there and see it. And obviously YouTube doesn't have that either, so you can see the full VOD over on the YouTube channel as well. So all that stuff is going well. Restream IO also updated their interface so that it works with YouTube Gaming now. So I am actually, instead of streaming through the old YouTube event thing that they had, I can now stream through, restream through the YouTube beta streaming thing, which looks a lot more like Twitch and Hitbox and all those things, which means that, yes, now I can actually participate in the chat, textually participate in the chat, where you couldn't for some reason in the events. I don't know why. Like, they give you the chat, you can read the chat, but you couldn't actually participate in it, which is bizarre, completely bizarre. But now I can, so that's all good stuff. And yeah, I was playing the Mad Max. I like it. It's not bad. It's got the same. It's by Avalanche Studios, which did Just Cause 2, and Just Cause, and I think they're working on Just Cause 3 as well. I think they worked on Just Cause 1. I'm pretty sure they did. I know they'd worked on 2 anyway. And it's a very solid game. Like I get, you know, I'm on a old hardware here. I'm on a GTX 570, and I get 60 FPS without any real hiccups. And I've got it set all, you know, I basically, most of the things, there's a couple things set to high, but there's a couple things also set to ultra, so I haven't had really any problems, which is sweet and awesome. Of course, I'm like I said, I'm live streaming it, so I don't have to deal with the disk access and stuff, but still, even then, I was getting like, you know, 60 frames per second when I did my tests to the hard drive. So that's really cool. That's awesome. I kind of wish I could stream it in 60 FPS, but Twitch will not Twitch will not allow that, I don't think, unless you're a partner. Maybe I could be wrong with that, but I know Hitbox and YouTube would. So, but I've started, since Restream is so easy to do, I figure I might as well just put it on all three and just deal with it being 30 FPS instead. So I've been playing that. I like it. It reminds me a lot of Just Cause 2. It's that open world thing with the towers and stuff like that, and just instead of having chaos that you create, you have to go around and get rid of some towers and then reduce the enemy level in the area so that it's not so heavily populated and all that stuff. It's cool. I like it. The thing that frustrates me about it, though, is that it does that thing that games do anymore, right? Which is, we're going to train you on how to use the game, which is fine if your game is doing something weird or crazy. But honestly, we're going to spread this out over 22 missions so that you can see like every little, we're just going to introduce one at a time, one concept at a time. It's like, some of those I can pretty much glean on my own. Like, okay, I get it. Like, I can see the one for the harpoon. That's fine. I can see the one for the sniper rifle. That's fine too. But yeah, some of the other ones, like, well, this is how you drive your car, and this is where you go for this, and this is what you do for that. It's like, I get it. I get it. You don't have to be so damn explicit about it. And what really bothers me is when it locks menus down on you. That needs. I try very hard not to get onto soapboxes, because ultimately soapboxes lead to echo chambers, which leads to you just saying ridiculously stupid things. But I have a bugbear about games that lock down menus on you. It's like, I get it. You don't want me to worry about that menu yet because you haven't taught me how to use it. But damn it, if it's an open world game, that should be there. It should be unlocked. You know, you should not be putting me on. It's like the first 2 hours of the game, they throw you on rails. And it's like, you must go to all these main points. But then along the way, they show you all the other stuff that you can be doing. And it's like, well, why wouldn't I do the other stuff while I'm here? Why would I travel all the way across this frickin' desert to this place, to this stronghold, just to travel all the way to frick back to all these other places? I was like, why wouldn't I just do them while I'm here? And it just, it annoys the crap out of me, right? And there's areas that they show you. Like there was one area, and I'm not giving anything away. This is within the first hour of the game, and it's a side quest. But there's an area where you gather scrap, where you can gather scrap. It's right next to your starting base. It shows up on the map immediately. So naturally I'm like, oh, let me go see if I can do this. And I drive over there, and I don't have the equipment to pull the cover off of it, right? So I'm like, because they haven't introduced it yet, which was driving me nuts because I'm like, I get it. You know, it's a frickin' harpoon, okay? I can tow things. You said it in your trailer, I can tow things. Just let me frickin' tow things. It can't be that difficult. You have to lock that behind something. So in order to get to that, I had to do some of the main quests. So I did some of the main quests, and it doesn't really, like it's an ongoing narrative, right? So it doesn't like give you like, now the world is open for you yet. Like, it might do that at some point. It might say, now you're free to roam about the cabin, but it hasn't done it yet. And that would kind of pull you out of the game or pull you out of the universe if it did it. So along the way, I'm like, well, let me go do this now. And like, I got the harpoon thing. So I went over there and I pulled the sheet off of that and went down, gathered all the scrap. And then there was a door down there that you couldn't get through without a jimmy rod, right? Or a crowbar, whatever you like to call it. And you could only get that. It said, it had a pop-up. It's like, in order to get this, you must buy it. You must purchase this tool from the max menu in the pause menu, right? So it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll go do that. Well, that menu is not enabled yet. So it's like, oh. So now you got to do like 6 more main quests, 6 more parts of the main quest, and then it's like, now you have unlocked this because now you can upgrade your stats and your tools and stuff. Like, okay, so now that I've done that, now I got to drive all the way to frick back to the beginning, and just go down there for that, and then get 100% completion on it. And it's just that kind of thing that just drives me insane. It's like, you've got an open world, just take the damn how long does it take to take the damn training wheels off, right? It's like, I get it. You want to, I understand that there's a school of thought that says introduce one concept at a time. That's fine. But there are some concepts that are so basic and easy to grasp that you shouldn't have to, like, belabor it, right? It's like the other thing was with the sniper rifle, which I got right at the end of the live stream, right? Which was at that point 3.5 hours in, right? 3.5 hours into the game, and I'm making do with what I got. I know that there's like war criers that you're supposed to kill, and you're supposed to snipe them, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, I'll just get a sniper rifle for this. Well, how do I buy a sniper rifle? Well, there's no menus, so apparently I can't do that yet, right? There's no way to do it. There's no shop that I could find to buy that stuff, an in-game merchant or anything like that. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And so then I was just trying to make do with what I had. So I was like, well, I can still shoot the guy with my gun if I can find some frickin' ammo, which is like, the ammo in the game is like few and far between. almost to a fault, because there are things in the game that, like insignias that you're supposed to destroy, that can only really be destroyed by a ranged weapon of some sort, right? Because they're out of your reach, and so you have to spend a bullet on it, and then that's probably the last bullet you'll get for another hour or two. You know what I mean? It's just little things like that are just frustrating as hell, because it's like, well, you gave me this open world, you allow me to run around in it, but you're like, no, you can't do that yet. Don't do that yet. No, not yet. It's like, stop dangling it in front of me. Just freaking tell me what the hell you want to tell me. Let me get through this training shit. I don't need to be trained on how to fire a sniper rifle. I've done it in game before, right? I don't need to be trained on how to fire a harpoon. I mean, literally the only training you're going to give me is press the left button to target or to fire it, and press the right button to target. I mean, when you have controls that are that dead simple, why the hell do you have an entire freaking mission that has to be run just to elaborate on it? It's unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary. So there's some frustrations in there with that. I'm like, just like, let's unlock the world, all right? Take the training wheels off. I get it. If there's some advanced concept that no other game ever does, and you feel the need to train me on it, then fine. That's great. Just don't tell me how to drive a car. It's like when you get into some of the space combat games, and you start off and they're like, all right, we want to make sure that you're a competent pilot, so we're going to have you fly through all these rings. It's like, well, all right, I get it, but can we not make this a big deal, right? And some games don't. Some games are like, all right, just fly through like 3 rings and then come back, and then you're good, you're done. You don't have to ever do anything like that again. And then there's some games that are like, oh, you didn't go through the rings fast enough, or you missed a ring here or there, or you, now you got to go through spinning rings, and now you got to go through, now you got to fire your missiles and stuff. It's like, oh, come on. It's like, can we get on with this? Like, can you give me a skip button, for crying out loud, so I can skip past this? Stuff like that is just annoying right now with Mad Max. But the weird thing that I've noticed is more with the reviews. The reviews are like all over the place for Mad Max. Like, I was looking at some of the reviews, because I had pre-ordered it, so I was going to play it regardless. But I was looking at some of the reviews for it, that came out the day that it was released. I think it was released on Thursday, I think, maybe Tuesday. I don't even remember. And I was just looking at some of the reviews, and they were completely mixed. Like, some of them were like, it's competent, it's decent. And others were like, this is trash, this is garbage, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. I'm like, how can those reviews be so disparate from one another? And I started playing, and I'm like, it's not really that bad. I mean, for somebody who's played, Just Cause 2, and I have Just Cause 1. I have never actually played it, though. I don't know what that's like. And I've pre-ordered Just Cause 3. For someone who's played that, I mean, this game is pretty much the same thing as that. And it's pretty much the same thing as, like, Shadows of Mordor, as far as I can tell, although I haven't played that yet. I still have it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So many things on my list here that I need to get to that I haven't gotten to yet. Which is why I'm trying to focus on these live streams so I can get some of that out there. Like, I still want to try to go back and play Destiny even. See if they fix their network issues where I can actually use a Wi-Fi connection to connect to it, instead of having to have a wired connection when I'm literally in the same room as the Wi-Fi signal. It's 100%. It's not going to get any stronger than that. And I've got wireless G, so it's the best of the best that you can, or not G, H, whatever it is. It's just, it's as strong as it's going to get. It should be strong enough for their purposes. But anyway, tangent. So far of Mad Max, I'm enjoying it. I can see where you can get a little bit repetitive. But it's repetitive in the same way that, Just Cause and stuff like that was, where it's like, all right, there's a couple more towers you got to take down. just like, it's like any other tower game, right? Like Assassin's Creed or something like that, where it's just like, oh, okay, I gotta go do this tower now, I gotta do that tower now, or Far Cries or something like that. It's competent. I mean, you pretty much could tell that that's the way it was going to be when he got in, just from the trailers even. So it might as well, embrace that, and that's fine. Like I said, it runs really well, which is phenomenal for me, because I'm getting more performance out of that than I got out of most other games. Like, the graphical fidelity of it's really good too. Although, for some reason, and I haven't quite figured this out yet, I can't play the game. I can't play Mad Max with my glasses on, which is really strange. It's like I have to take my glasses off to do it. It's like I don't know how to put it. It's like when I look at it with my glasses on, because obviously my glasses, I'm nearsighted, so my glasses will magnify, or just magnifying glasses basically, to make all the images that are far away from me appear closer, so that they fall on my retina, and it basically corrects your vision by doing that. Like, if you're farsighted, it's the opposite, right? It's going to make everything near look far away, so that it falls onto your optic nerve correctly, just by the curvature of your eye. So for whatever reason, if I sit here playing it with my glasses on, I get intensely cross-eyed. Like, I can't focus on anything. My eyes start to hurt. I'm like, what is going on here? I've never experienced this before. I actually was getting like a little bit sick even, and I'm like, what is this? Like, I've heard of people getting sick for like, field of view issues, but I've never had problems with field of view in games. Like, even, I would prefer, having like a 90-degree field of view, but I've never gotten sick from having like a 50-degree one. But in this game, when I put my glasses on, I'm like, oh my god, I can't even play the game with my glasses on. So I take my glasses off, and suddenly I'm able to play it just fine. It's I guess also because everything's so blurry with my glasses off, that it makes it so that it's not. Maybe it's the sharpness. I'm trying to figure out in my brain what is causing it. Maybe the picture's too sharp. Maybe I need to dull it down a little bit or something. I can't put my finger on it, but it's the only game to date that has ever really made me feel a little bit nauseous. And not by the content of it, but just by, literally just sitting on the title screen, right? It's very strange, with my glasses on, but I take my glasses off, it's fine. So I don't know. It's very weird. Maybe it's one of the effects that they're using. Maybe it's the, what is it? They have like the heat wave effects, the heat lines. They have the, you can put a dirty lens on it if you really want. I always turn that off. That just makes things needlessly muddy, especially when you're trying to present this to other people to watch. And it's got the it does have the what do they call that? The when they make distant images blurry, not motion blur. It does have motion blur, but excuse me. There's some other term they use that I always forget. And I left that on because it makes sense for a desert game to have that, but I can't believe that would be causing it though. It's just, it doesn't sound plausible or correct. So I don't know. But all that sort of nitpicking aside, so far it's been pretty competent. I could see playing it for a while. Try and get through as much of it as I can and unlock all the things that I can unlock. So yeah, I would say thumbs up for me for Mad Max if it's the kind of thing that you like. I have not watched the remake of Mad Max, the Fury Road or whatever it was. I haven't watched that movie, so it doesn't really reference it. It does. It's like set in that world. I can tell it's set in that world because I know like some of the characters and stuff were changed a bit. And it takes that same aesthetic from that world, and I guess some of the dialogue too, but you don't need to know what happened in the movie in order to enjoy it so far, from what I've seen. So, because I've never seen the movie and I'm enjoying it okay, I'm enjoying it just fine. So that's what I got for that. I'm not sure where else I was going to go with that, but that's where I went with that. As far as the additional live stream stuff goes, continuing with Borderlands, I would like to get back to Evoland 2 as well. I would like to finish Evoland 2 on the live streams. I think from what I've read, it's about 16 hours the whole game, and we're only about 2 or 3 hours into it, so there's a while yet to go on that. I've only got the one episode out there. That's out on, all my various streaming locations out there. So I would like to get back to that. That probably won't be on the Fridays, though. That'll be whenever I can fit it in. Whenever I don't feel like necessarily playing Borderlands, which lately I've been feeling a lot like playing Borderlands. Like I've been jonesing for it quite a bit. So I've been like doing like little hour streams here and there whenever I can. I'm up to like episode 4 now on it, and just whenever I can fit an hour in, I've been doing that. So that's pretty cool stuff. I'm enjoying all that. I'm enjoying it all. But speaking of Borderlands, that is there. I'll link it to VG247. There's an article, just a small blurb. They've said that Borderlands is now going to be backwards compatible on the Xbox One. So it's joined the backwards compatibility wagon for the games for Xbox One. So if you own it, I think it's Borderlands 1 and all the DLC for Borderlands 1. So if you own that on the 360, then pretty soon when all the compatibility stuff rolls out, you'll be able to play that on the Xbox One. So that is rather awesome there. So now, another thing I want to get into before we get into other stuff. It's almost like I got topics here to switch between. It's crazy. PCGamer came out with their yearly top 100 greatest games ever list, and as always with any kind of list, they are completely wrong. Anybody who comes up with a top 100 list is going to be invariably wrong. It's just they're more wrong than most, I think. That burn, it really burns, doesn't it? I want to go through the list and I want to discuss some of the things that I see on there. This is one of those moments where using Pockets really helps out, because it gives me the entire article without all the, like, you got to page through 92 pages to get through all the things, and it's got all those ads on it, and I can see it in one long continuous page here. I found, I should mention this, I found this program called Get Pocket. It's getpocket.com. I've been using that for a while now. It's literally, it's basically your browser bookmarks, but it goes more than that. Like it gives you a little icon in your browser, and it's free, and you can click on that and it will bookmark it to the service. And then when you go and look, at getpocket.com and whatnot, under your name, you can actually read the entire articles of stuff. It actually scrapes the page that you did, and you can read the entire article, or you can view the original. So it's pretty cool for that. I've been using that quite a bit. It's working out a lot better. I used to just email links to myself, and now I've been doing this a little bit better. So it's kind of nice. Anywho, I am not being paid by anybody to say that. I have not even purchased this. I'm using the freebie stuff. So PC Gamer top 100 greatest games lists, which is kind of a lie. So number 100, Tribes 2. I've never actually been into the Tribes games, so I can't really comment too much on that. But I kind of find it a little bit funny that Tribes 2 is on there. I mean, March 2001 is when it was released. And they do update this list every year. So in this case, its last position was a re-entry. It used to be on the list and then it wasn't, and now it's back on it again. I guess it's just one of those things where it's like somebody went back and played Tribes 2 and was like, this is the greatest game ever. And they're like, okay, well now it's got to go on the list. So, I've never played that, so I can't really comment on that. The things I do want to comment on, Mirror's Edge, number 97 on the list, which I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with. I mean, Mirror's Edge is a great game. I love Mirror's Edge. I would put it up much higher. In fact, its last position on the list was 33. I don't know why it went from 33 to 97, but it did, apparently. The fact that it's on the list is good enough for me, I'd say. What irks me out, and here's where I start to piss people off. What irks me out is that at 96, it's 97th in the list. The 96th game that beat out Mirror's Edge, the Stanley Parable. Now, I've played the Stanley Parable. It was an interesting art piece. It was a game. It was not better in any realm to Mirror's Edge. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. It should be behind Mirror's Edge. As a matter of fact, it should be number 100 on the list, not number 96. It's just not. It's a parody of games. It's a game that's a parody of games. It was interesting. It was thought-provoking. It was really boring. It was not something you could play more than once. I mean, you could and choose other choices, but it was still, I mean, it was a pretty empty experience for me anyway, playing that. It was definitely not worth being jonesing out Mirror's Edge. Now, that being said, it is listed here as a new entry, so it was never on the list before, but I disagree strongly with it beating out Mirror's Edge, honestly. I mean, it could beat out, it beat out Mirror's Edge at 97. Sam & Max Hit the Road at 98, which I've never played that. I've heard it is the fantastic point-and-click game. I can imagine there's a lot of people who are very upset about that. Spider and Web, which I've never heard of before. It's a text-based game from February of 1998, and it's a new entry on here. Okay. And then Tribes 2 at 100. So literally Stanley Parable beat out those things. The fact that Mirror's Edge is on there, all right. Moving on. What else on here can I comment on? So, they put the Stanley Parable at 96, and then they put Gone Home at 94, which arguably is a much better game from what I understand. I've never played it, but I saw some Let's Plays of it, and it looked like it was more enjoyable to watch than Stanley Parable was to play. And I played Stanley Parable. I'm surprised that it's so low on their list, but at the same time, I agree with it being better than Stanley Parable. So there's that. I'm just not, it feels like there was a weird grouping going on there. It's like, oh, we gotta group some of these things together that are kind of similar, and I don't know. Then I mean, they put Gone Home at 94, and then at 93 they put Alpha Centauri. Another game I've never played. You would think I would have played that, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. I didn't, because it was during that time when I wasn't so pleased with RTSs. It's sort of the classic RTS game, and because of that, it's like, from what I understand, it's one of those where you start over from scratch every time, right? Which is okay, I guess. I'm pretty sure it's an RTS. See, I've never played it, so I'm guessing it is. But it's I just, you know, I never got into it, I guess. It's probably one of those things I would revisit later on here and be able to play it, but I just didn't at the time. And I had played like Age of Empires and things like that, and I got tired of them really. I played the original StarCraft, and I got tired of them. I just didn't like the idea of starting over again all the time. It's like that repetitive thing. It's like, I'm gonna have the best build ever, and it's just like, it's kind of, I don't really necessarily like that. That said, I'm playing Soul Zero, which is basically the same thing, where it's like you start over from scratch every map. Like every map is a start over from scratch. But the difference is that in the traditional RTSs, you're fighting an enemy, right? Soul Zero, you're not fighting an enemy. You're just fighting the natural world. So I'm not. So I even though that's repetitive, it's not annoying to me. What's annoying to me about the repetitive nature of some of the RTSs is that I will sit there and build up the best army the world has ever seen, right? The greatest, most leveled up army you would ever conceive of in your brains. Mecha Hitlers all the way down, basically. And just crush my enemy. Because it's not enough for me to just beat the enemy AI. I must crush them under my foot, under my boot. They must repent and their dying breath for even being born, basically. And so I do that, and I manage to accomplish it, and I get out there and I just bam, although I had a lot of problems with that in the original StarCraft, because the original StarCraft is like, no, you gotta go fast. And in order to go fast, you have to have these builds in your mind where like, oh, I gotta go do this and gotta do that, because that Zerg rush is coming in, and that annoyed the hell out of me, because it was like, oh, let me just build the minimum possible that I need for these things, and then just let me min-max this so that I can get through this to get to this more story, right? Whereas I'm more of a, let me build everything I can possibly build. Let me get the biggest army I can possibly support for the area that I'm in, and just crush them underfoot. The problem with that is, after you've crushed them underfoot, you start the next map, and you're back to just one lonely, like, villager. It's like, ugh. I was the greatest, and now I am 0. And it's that going from 100 to 0 that was just annoying to me after a while of playing those games, and that's why I sort of drifted away from them quite a bit. I'm coming back to them a little bit at a time. Like, they're warming back up into my heart a little bit more, because the more modern take on them is a little bit more interesting, but it's still, and not, a little less grindy slightly, but that's still that thing that's in the back of my head that stops me from really enjoying like the classic RTSs. But here's another like head scratcher here. Last year this was 23rd, and it dropped down to 93rd. So that's strange. And again, they're talking about the top 100 games ever here, and I don't know. It just sort of boggling my mind here how these things are shaping up. It's almost like they just threw a random number generator at it. It's like, all right, this one's going to be this number. This one's going to be that number. What else can I talk about? Oh, number 91 on their list was Free Space 2, a game that I own. I do. Yeah, I own Descent Free Space 2. I have it on CD. I never played it. I have the FS2 Open stuff, which is the new open source version of it that the community uses for things like Wing Commander Saga, and there's a Battlestar Galactica game out there called Diaspora, which I was playing a little bit of. It's balls hard right now. It's not finished, but it's balls hard. And several other things. There was a Babylon 5 one at one point too. That was what did they call it? I Found Her, I think is what they called it. But that never took off. That didn't, they worked on it a little bit, and then it was abandoned early on. And then there was another Battlestar Galactica one called Beyond the Red Line, which I don't think has made any progress either. Yeah, so that's the FS2 open stuff, and that's where I was playing Wing Commander Saga, which is another thing I need to get back to. I need to get editing all that stuff eventually at some point. And a couple others have been built on that engine, so it was pretty, it's a very versatile engine, and the open source community, Volition open sourced it way back when, like 2001 or something like that, and the community took it and has run with it. They upgraded it from, I think it was using DirectX 3 or 2 at the time, 3, 4 maybe. I think it was 3, and then they've upgraded to use like DirectX 9, I think it's 9OC it's using now. It might be just 7. I'm not quite sure yet what they've upgraded to, but they've upgraded. They've upgraded the engine. It's just awesome now. It's a good little engine to put your whatever space combat game you're trying to build on top of. It seems to work really well. But I never played Free Space 2. I was the Wing Commander guy. And Free Space kind of, for whatever reason, flew under my radar. I played the original Descent, like the demo of it. I never actually bought the game. And I liked it. It was okay. I played the demo of that. But I guess, the 6 Degree of Freedom thing was cool, and I liked it. But then I never realized that they then made the jump to space combat. And then when I found out about Free Space 2, I was like, oh, let me look at some stuff. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I would like it or not. And I'm still on that fence where I'm like, I like the Wing Commander stuff. I don't really like, I haven't really gotten into Free Space. And I don't know, I never got into the universe of it. And I think I'm just, it's one of those things where I'm just being an old man. I need to just buck up and try my hand at it and see if I really do enjoy it, or not. I don't know. Because there's other things that I enjoy in that genre. It's just, I never got into Free Space. I don't know why I didn't. But it might be one of those things that I come back to and go, you know what? I will be a begrudgingly curmudgeon and actually try to see if this is something that I would like. But that is at 91 on the list. Its last position was 96, so it actually moved up in the list. It's September 1999 is when it was released, so why these things are moving up and down like that. I would expect older games to sort of move down the list because newer games are coming out that might be supplanting them, but I don't know. It just seems like a random smattering of how things are moving in this list here. What makes me scratch my head even more is that 91 is Free Space 2, and then at 90 they've got Plants vs. Zombies. So I'm like, we went completely opposite genre now. Which, for a list of 100, I would expect that to happen. I expect the genres to be kind of mixed up like that, but it's just a complete reversal there, which is pretty funny. Then let's see what else they got. So they've got Terraria at number 88, and I agree with that one because from what I've seen, I didn't play that much of Terraria. I played the 1.0 version for a little bit, and then I got kind of bored with it and just went and played Minecraft. But I've been watching like Zisto and Etho play it, and I've been getting that itch every once in a while. I go like, hey, there's a lot of collectible stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff to do in that game. A whole hell of a lot of stuff to do in that game. And I just I played it for like a little bit in version 1.0, and I put it aside and never came back to it. So I don't know. It's one of those itches that I might scratch someday, but by that point it'll be old hat. Be completely old hat. I'll put a video up and everybody will be like, "You're playing it completely wrong. There's 500 tiers, and you're trying to do tier 2 when you're only at tier 0." Like, I don't know. I've never played it before. And honestly, I'm waiting more for the Chucklefish's game, Starbound. I'm waiting more for Starbound to get a little bit more stuff in it, a little bit more meat on the bones. It's actually Starbound released. There's a new version of it out there in the stable branch that has a lot of interesting stuff. And I've heard, I haven't played Starbound since the early alpha, so I've heard it's completely, the progression is completely changed on it. So I'm interested in trying to get back into that. You can go look at some of my earlier videos on that. I have, I think, about 7 videos or something from the earlier game. What else on here that I can talk about? We're moving down the list here. They've got Psychonauts at 83. Don't Starve at 82. I played a little bit of Don't Starve. I kind of got bored of it, honestly. But it seems like it's completely changed since I last played it too. So that's another one I need to revisit, because that's like, they have Don't Starve Together, which I got for free because I purchased early the Don't Starve, and I haven't done anything with that in a long time. I probably should jump back into that at some point. I felt like I gave it a pretty good shake, but I was only playing on my own. I didn't record any videos. I feel like if I go back to it, maybe it'll interest me more now. I don't know. It kind of, I don't know. It's just something about it that I was like, this is okay. It's meh, but not spectacular. And yet, there are people who look at it and go, "This is spectacular. I can't believe you just think it's meh." And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's something to all that. And then Don't Starve at 82, and then you got Saints Row 4 at 81. I played Saints Row 4 off camera. I wasn't going to record that because it's just Rockstar's kind of weird with YouTubers. You know, it's like, you can record some of this, but you can't record all this. And then the music is almost always, you know, claimed, and it's just, I didn't feel like dealing with it. Same with Saints Row 3rd. I just played that for myself. I didn't finish Saints Row 4 though. I played a good portion of it, and then I got tired of it, and just it's been sitting there in my Steam box for a long time, just saying, "Play me, play me." And then at number 80, they've got Cave Story Plus, another game that I played just like maybe 2 hours of, just on my own, off camera, because I just wanted to see what the whole big deal was. It's a Metroidvania. It's interesting. It's got like it's got cartoon characters in it, sort of, and it's RPG progression. It's not bad. It's sort of got the 16-bit graphics kind of going on it. It was okay. I didn't get that into it, honestly. It was more like a take on the Japanese, Metroidvania stuff, like Castlevania and stuff like that. So it's not bad. We got No One Lives Forever 2 at number 75. I've heard that No One Lives Forever 2 is the best of the game, the best game of the series. I've played No One Lives Forever 1. I bought No One Lives Forever 2. It's actually sitting next to me here. I bought No One Lives Forever 2 just recently, like 6-7 months ago, and also that was No One Lives Forever 2 and Contract Jack I also bought, because I heard that No One Lives Forever 2 was fantastic, and so was Contract Jack. No One Lives Forever 1 was really good. I think from what I've heard, No One Lives Forever 2 was the best of the series. I've never played it, so I wanted to go back and play it. And I want to actually play that either on a live stream or on the channel. Probably on the channel, because it's an FPS, and I haven't done an FPS for a little while on there. So I'm okay with that. Its last position was 79. It's now at 75. That sounds reasonable. That sounds quite reasonable for that to be on there. From what I've heard, I haven't played that one yet. I want to play that. I want to play that, and I want to play Contract Jack because I've heard they were fantastic. And we missed out on getting remakes of them because nobody can figure out what who actually owns the rights to it. Here's a Might and Magic 3 at number 74. I've never played it. Doom 2 at number 73. That's an interesting one. I played that a long time ago. It's okay. I don't know why. I don't know if I put it at number 73, but okay, whatever. But then they put Elite Dangerous at number 72, which boggles my mind. Like, I've played some Elite Dangerous. I haven't played a lot. I played some of it. Right now, it's just a bore fest for me. Like, there's literally nothing to do. The things that you can do don't make a whole lot of sense, at least when I played it. Now, a lot has changed since I played it, so, you know, buyer beware there. A lot of things have changed. There's like PvP and stuff now, which there wasn't really too much of before, and so on and so forth. So it's getting better. There's going to be planetary landings, but you got to pay for that, which whatever. So I can see it getting better. I don't know why it's too early to put this on a list like this. It's not released yet. Like, it's released, but it's not done yet. It's not out of the oven yet, right? It's like, why would you put that on the list of top 100 games when it's not even freaking done yet? Right? It's just there's so many things wrong with this list. There's so many things. I'm only up to number 72 here. What else they got on here? Max Payne at number 69. That's another game I want to actually play. I've never played it. I've heard it's really good, and I played the demo of it, and it was fairly good. But I was a poor college student at the time, so there was a lot of demos that I played at that time that I never actually purchased anything for, like Elite Force 2 or Elite Force and Elite Force 2 and all that stuff. I just didn't purchase them because I didn't have the money. I'd like to circle back around to those at some point and play them, because that one always intrigued me. I was like, yeah, that's not bad. Return to Castle Wolfenstein at 68. Never played it, so I don't know if that's. I don't know if I would put that on there. Or if I put. Honestly, if there's going to be a Wolfenstein title on here, I would have put Wolfenstein: The New Order on there. And it might be on there. I've looked through this once before, but I looked through this list, but I don't remember if it was on here or not. Honestly, I don't know if I would put Return to Castle Wolfenstein on there. I've heard it's good, but if there was going to be a Wolfenstein on here, it really should be The New Order, honestly. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion at number 66. I can agree with that. That is fine. I've played through that. I didn't play the entire game, but I played through all the main quests and try to go all achievement hunter on it, but ended up just getting bored with it and putting it aside. But now I think that's going to be one of the ones that they I'm not sure. That might be one of the ones that's going to be backwards compatible with Xbox One, which would be really cool, because I would like to pull my saved games over from my Xbox 360 and pick up where I left off on that. That'd be really cool. What else do we got here on this list that I can pick apart? Bastion at 62. That's fine. I can agree with that. Although, and I think they have Transistor on here too, which is also good. I can agree with both of those being on the list. Honestly, I think if you could only pick one of Supergiant's games, I would pick Bastion. I liked Transistor a lot, but it wasn't quite the same as Bastion was. So if there could only be one on the list, I would say Bastion would be the one. Thief Gold at number 61. That's the original Thief, but it's the the Gold edition, which was with all the expansions and stuff. I have tried to play that game numerous times, and I fail miserably at it every time, even on easy difficulty. So I could see it being on there. It was a genre setter. It was very much a genre setter. So and it had a lot of mechanics in it that you didn't see at the time, like materials making different sounds and being able to hide in shadows and stuff like that. So yes, definitely that should be on this list. Morrowind is at 60, a game I've never played. People love Morrowind. I've always looked at it and went, it's too brown for me. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is coming from the guy who's playing Mad Max right now. It's too brown for me. That said, there's some mods for Skyrim, like Skywind, that's supposed to be bringing Morrowind into Skyrim as a mod. I might play that. I might play that. There's a couple reasons why I want to buy Skyrim, and that's one of them. So there's that. Dark Souls at 57. Okay, we'll leave that be. Papers, Please at 56. I've heard that's really good. I mean, it gets a lot of high marks from a lot of people, so I am tending to agree with them, and it's certainly a unique game in what it does. Although I don't know why it went from 29 down to 56, but yeah, we'll have to keep on rolling here with that. What else do we got here? Hitman Blood Money at 54. I still want to play a Hitman game on the channel at some point. I just need to sit down and do it sometime. The problem with it is the same problem I have with all stealth games, is that I'm not very stealthy. I get very impatient very, very quickly. Number 52, DayZ, another game that isn't really fully released yet. And I don't know why it's on this list of top 100 best games when it's not even really fully released yet. And its last position was 12. I don't... Moving on. Batman Arkham Asylum at number 50. Mass Effect at number 49. That is good. I'm okay with that. I've played all the way through Mass Effect. It was nice. It was a good game. I liked it. I believe they also have Mass Effect 2 on this list, and it's up higher on the list. And I can kind of agree with it. They also have Mass Effect 3 on this list. I don't know why they put all 3 Mass Effects on here. Mass Effect 3 really probably shouldn't be on here at all. If I were to pick one, I would say Mass Effect 2 probably would be the one on the list, or Mass Effect 1, but not all 3. Somebody was smoking something when they did this. clearly. Or getting paid for it. I don't know. One or the other. Pillars of Eternity is at number 48, a game that I wish I could sit down and play. I have it. I need to just find the time for it. So many freaking 200-hour RPGs in my list here. Guild Wars 2 at number 47. Fallout, the original Fallout, at number 44. I've not played any Fallout games. Fallout 4 will be the first Fallout game I've ever played. I have that on pre-order. Half-Life at number 43. Half-Life 2 is also on this list, and it's up much higher, and I can agree with Half-Life 2 being on it, and I can sort of agree with Half-Life being on it too. So that's okay. I would say that, you know, if you want a really representative list, you need to have one of each series, but, you know, sometimes it's okay to have more than one. That's fine. System Shock 2 at number 42. It's funny that System Shock 2 beat out Half-Life, but I can see why. It's probably a good thing. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is at number 41 on the list. Kind of low, honestly, if you ask me. I feel like The Witcher 3 is rather fantastic, but we'll have to see what has beat it out. Well, what immediately beats it out is City Skylines at number 40, which I can see. I can see City Skylines being at number 40 and The Witcher being below it, but still, I don't know. I mean, it's hard because they're different genres altogether. Fallout 3 at 39. So Fallout 3 beats out The Witcher 3. I'm not entirely on board with that. Let's see, what else? BioShock Infinite at 38. BioShock Infinite wins out against Fallout 3 and The Witcher 3. Okay. I'll accept it, I guess. What else do we have on here? The Walking Dead Season 1 at 34. Yeah, sure. Okay, we'll give you that. Deus Ex Human Revolution at 32. Its last position was 17. It's now down to 32. That's acceptable. Would I rank Deus Ex Human Revolution greater than The Witcher 3? Yes, but only because I like sci-fi more than I like fantasy. Right? So, to me, that's the only reason why I would put that higher on my list, is that I like sci-fi better. Other than that, you know, if we took genre differences out of it, The Witcher 3 would probably be higher on my list than Deus Ex Human Revolution. But if we, with sci-fi coming back into it, no, it's Deus Ex all the way for me. You're talking to the guy here who enjoyed Deus Ex 2 Invisible War, the one that most people want to believe doesn't exist. And at some point, I swear to God, at some point, I am going to play that game and record it and put it up on YouTube, because I am that kind of guy. I want to play it again. I have it actually installed. I want to play it again just to see if I was smoking something back in the day, or if it really is as good as I remember it was. So that's the way I'm rolling with that one. Number 30, they have Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Amn. I think I never played Baldur's Gate 2. I didn't really play the original. I played a little bit of the original Baldur's Gate because I borrowed it from my brother. My brother played all the Baldur's Gate games. He loved them. I played a little bit of Baldur's Gate 1. I didn't play Baldur's Gate 2 at all. StarCraft 2 at 29. Divinity Original Sin at 28. Is Divinity Original Sin better than Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Amn? I don't know. And I'll need someone else to tell me, because I've never played Baldur's Gate 2. I have played Divinity Original Sin. I haven't played it all the way through because I got frustrated with it because I couldn't figure out how to do the quests. Like, I had to look up walkthroughs to figure out what I had to do next for quests, which is never a good thing, because it's like they were just, for some reason, very obtuse about, well, now here's what you got to do to continue this quest on. And it's like, I can see the appeal of it from certain perspective, but at the same time, yeah, it got really frustrating. I'll get back to it, I think, but it was very frustrating for me to not really know what to do next, where to go next. And I was constantly getting just annihilated in the early game too, which didn't help, with my trying to figure out what's going on and what I need to do next. At 27, they have FTL, Faster Than Light. Yes, I can agree with that. I can agree that that's better than the other ones on the list. 26, Dragon Age Origins. Is Dragon Age Origins better than Divinity Original Sin and better than Baldur's Gate 2? That is the question. I have not played Dragon Age Origins. Actually, I take that back. I played about 5 minutes of Dragon Age Origins. And then I put it on the back burner and said, I'll come back to this. So yeah. Hearthstone at 25. That makes sense. We have, okay, so top 25. We've got Hearthstone. We've got Spelunky at 24. We've got Doom, the original Doom, at 23. It was a genre setter, to be honest. It was, I can see it being high on lists. I can see it being on the top 100. I don't know that I would put it in the top 25, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I get it. It was the thing that started the things. So, okay, sure. But I don't really think the original, I don't know that the original Doom holds up so well, with time, with age. I don't know that it's aged that well. That said, there is Brutal Doom. There's all these, mods for it that certainly have breathed new life into it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm on the fence about that one. I don't know that I would put something else maybe in its place. I wouldn't put Doom 3 there, but I don't know. Its last position was 27 and it moved up to 23. I would put Doom more like in the 80s somewhere, possibly. Just for my own thing. Because right after that, at number 22 is Arma 2, which I have never played. And then 21 is Minecraft. I mean, there's a genre change right there. Arma 2 to Minecraft. Its last position was at 18. It's moved down to 21. given how much of a cultural phenomenon Minecraft is, it deserves to be on a list like this. I don't know. I don't know that I would put it up in the top 25, though. I really don't. I like the game. I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it. I don't know that it's a top 25 game, though. Maybe it is. I mean, maybe if you think about it as a genre, if you think about this from a perspective of someone who's never played video games, and you're like, here's the top 25 video games you need to play, Minecraft would probably be on that list. So I guess maybe it's fair. Maybe it's fair to say, yes, 21 is okay for that. All right, I've convinced myself. Number 20 is Counter-Strike Go, Global Offensive. Another game I've never played, but I mean, you can't deny how many people play that constantly. So yeah, I would imagine that would have to be on there. Number 19 is Alien Isolation. There had to be a horror genre on here at some point, and if there's going to be a horror genre on here, Alien Isolation is certainly the one to be on there. Number 18 is Dota 2. Sure, from sheer volume of people playing it, I guess it needs to be on there at 18. Again, if I was giving a top 25 list of games that people should play, I would not put Dota on it because of the community. But that might not be fair for the gameplay itself because, you know, that might not be fair to the game developers because it's not really their fault that their community sucks so bad. But then again, they have the same problem that all MOBAs have, which is their communities tend to really be terrible. It's just what it is, I guess. It's the nature of the game, right? It's the nature of the fact that you're relying on strangers to win a game, and if you rely on strangers for your own enjoyment, you're going to be very upset at the end of the day. Number 17, here's a surprise. Kerbal Space Program. Its last position was at 90. It's jumped all the way up to 17. I can agree with that being on there. If Minecraft is going to be 21, then yes, Kerbal Space Program should be 17, and Kerbal Space Program is, I would say, better than Minecraft in many ways because it gives you clearer goals, I guess. You know, Minecraft is one of those things where it's like, I'm going to just sit down and just kill some time and just do my own thing. And Kerbal Space Program is like, you can do your own thing, but here's some things to shoot for. Like, here's some goals to shoot for. Right? That's the thing that Minecraft has never really had. Like, they tried to put goals in the game by giving you like, well, here's the end dragon and here's you know, the wither boss and stuff. But it's like, no, you could play the game and have just as much fun and not face them at all, right? It's like, how many people play the single player world and then never go into, like, they'll go into the Nether because of the traveling mechanics, right? But they'll never really go into the end that much unless they're specifically building like an Enderman farm or something like that. You know, it's just like, Whereas Kerbal Space Program is like, you look at it and immediately you're like, well, I want to go to that planet, I want to go to that planet, I want to go to that planet, I want to create a space station, I want to do this. You know, there's like clear goals in there. You can do them in any order you want. You can do whatever you want. But it's like, they actually had like real and genuine goals for you to face. And I think that's what puts it ahead of Minecraft pretty much in any list, I would say. So I agree with that positioning. Number 16 is Planescape Torment, a game that I have been told numerous times is the best Dungeons and Dragons game ever created in the history of the world, and that I am less of a nerd because I've never played it. So I can see that being up in the top 15 or up in the top 25. I have never played it, so I don't know what it's like. I've heard it is, like I said, the best thing that's ever happened to a D&D game ever. So take what you will with that. Number 15 is XCOM Enemy Unknown. Would you put XCOM Enemy Unknown on here, or would you put the original XCOM on here? That is the question. I've never played either one of them, so I leave that to you folks listening and watching. should this be on here, or should it be more like the original XCOM? Should this be at number 15, or should it be way down on the list? I don't know. I have no idea. Number 14, Portal 2. Sure, I guess. I'm not into puzzle games, but I can see that some puzzle games should be represented in the top 25. And so from that perspective, I'd say Portal 2, sure. Especially for the multiplayer stuff. From what I saw from YouTube, the multiplayer stuff was done really well in Portal 2. So I can see that getting high praise for that. Number 13 is Crusader Kings 2. Never played it. Number 12, Mass Effect 3. I guess. I don't know why all 3 Mass Effect games are on this list. There really shouldn't be. It should be just Mass Effect 2 and nothing else. Or just Mass Effect 1. I don't know. I don't know why they ranked it as number 12. I didn't play Mass Effect 3, so maybe that's why. I don't know. Mass Effect 3 to me just seemed overwrought and just way too tropey for my taste, but whatever. Its last position was 8, so it's apparently moving down the list, I guess. So there's that. Thief 2: The Metal Age is at number 11. So both Thief games, old school Thief games, are represented on here. I own both of those. I've never really gotten very far in them. So take what you will of that. Number 10 is Fallout New Vegas. I've heard is the best of the new Fallout games. So, Fallout 3 and all that stuff. So I can see that being on there. Number 9 is the original Portal game, which does deserve a position on the list, I'd say. It did set a bar. It was a trend setter, if you will. So I guess I can agree with both Portals being in the top 25, although I think it's getting kind of cheesy at that point. I think one of them should have won out against the others. And if you're going to win out based on multiplayer and stuff like that, then probably Portal 2 would have been the one that should have won out. But whatever. Portal 1 did introduce us to GLaDOS and all the memes that have spawned from that. So I can see it deserving of being on the greater list. I don't know that both of those should be under the top 25 or not. Number 8, the original Deus Ex. Sure. Yeah, I can see that being up there. That it is one of those things that you think back to and you go, yeah, this is something good. This is something I really like. Is it better than Human Revolution? I don't know, honestly. I personally would put Human Revolution higher up on the list than Deus Ex, than the original Deus Ex, just because it is more befitting the modern times and themes, and it does better. It's more fleshed out as far as the RPG mechanics and other things like that. And the original Deus Ex doesn't really hold up so well. It has not aged very well. The mechanics, both mechanically and graphically. But I don't begrudge it being number 8 either. So, because I like both of those games. I like all of those games. So, that's fine by me. Number 7, Grand Theft Auto 5. That makes perfect sense because that still has, Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be around for a very long time because it is a sandbox upon a sandbox upon a sandbox upon a story somewhere. There's a story somewhere in there, but most people don't particularly care for it. They just play it because there's a whole lot to do in it, and there continues to be a whole lot to do in it. So yes, that should be on the list. Number 6 is Dishonored. There you go. There's something. It moved up from 32 to number 6. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Another stealth FPS though, at the top here. This and Thief 2. Is Dishonored better than Thief 2? Yes, I would say so. Should there be 2 of those games in the top 15, the top 25? Maybe one of those should have been pushed back further, I guess. But because I'm sure there's other things that could have fit in there better. But that's still good. Dishonored at 6, I can agree with that. Having played through the entire game and all the DLC very recently, yes, indeed. Number 5, the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. That is no surprise at all. Its last position was 2. It's moved down to 5. Yeah, I don't think there's much I can say about that other than, of course. Number 4, Team Fortress 2. It moved up from number 7 to number 4. I don't know why. It's still long in the tooth. It's old. It's been around forever. It will never die. It will never go away. It does have a genre that has spun up around it, and I still have never played it. So there you go. Number 3, BioShock, the original BioShock. Original BioShock better than BioShock Infinite? There's a question for you. I'll just leave that there. Number 2, Mass Effect 2. Yes, and yes. If anything was going to be on this list, Mass Effect 2 should be on this list, and it should it be number 2 on the list? Sure. Should all 3 Mass Effects be on this list? No. And so get rid of Mass Effect 3 from the list, get rid of Mass Effect 1 from the list. Just leave this guy on here, and you've got a list that's more accurate, I would say. And number 1, no surprise here, Half-Life 2 is at number 1. And still, from all the praise that game gets, I still have never played it. I've never played any of the Half-Life games. So I can't say much about that. All I can really say is, holy hell, have I been talking for a long time. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and listening. And I will see you next Sunday.